Hello students, myself Vinita Kumbhar, teacher in Department of Mathematics, DS Ferguson College Pune. Welcome you all in this session. In the previous session, we have learned the domain and range of trigonometric functions. In today's session, we study the domain, range, the graphs of inverse trigonometric functions using PowerPoint presentation. Let us study inverse sine function. The domain of the function y equal to sine x is the set of all real numbers, and the range of the function is -1 to +1, the closed interval -1 to +1. This we know. Let us draw the graph of this function with the help of quadrantal angles 0, pi by 2, pi, 3 pi by negative x-axis, and minus pi by 2, minus pi, minus 3 pi by 2, and minus 2 pi. No need to by heart the values of the sine functions because in the log table everything is given to you. Now to draw the graph with these quadrantal angles, you will have to keep in mind the range is -1 to 1. So on y-axis, we are having these 2 points, -1 to +1. And as the domain is the set of real numbers, the whole x-axis is nothing but the domain of the function. Okay, now with the knowledge you know sine 0 is 0, so you will get this point. Sine 90 is 1, so you will get this point. Sine 180 is 0, so the point on x-axis. Sine 3 pi by 2 is -1, so you will get this point, and so on. Similarly, on the negative x-axis, sine of -90 degrees is -1, so you will get this point. Sine of -180 degrees is 0, you will get this point, and we plot the remaining points here. And if you join all these points, you will get the smooth curve which is periodic in nature. Now, because of the period of the function, sine function is many one function, right? You know this. Because of the period of the function, sine function becomes many one function. To find its inverse function, you will have to make the function one function. So how will you do that? In standard 11, one test you have done in the functions called as the horizontal line test. What is that horizontal line test? Draw the horizontal line, okay, from -1 to +1 anywhere, but it should be horizontal line. If that horizontal line cuts the graph in more than one point, then the function is many one function. See, with the theory part we got, because of the period of the function, we got that function as many one function. But if the graph is given, how will you decide whether the function is many one or one is the horizontal line test. Here, this horizontal line cuts the graph at this point, here and here as well. Let us find out the corresponding values of x. See, for this x, this negative, on negative x-axis we got the values of x. On positive x-axis again we got the positive values of x. But for all these x, the y, value of y is only 1. So the function is many one function. Okay, but the important is what? Just by inspection, you see whether that horizontal line cuts the graph in more than one point. If yes, then the function is many one function. So here the sine function is fixed now, is many one function. Now what we'll do? To find out its inverse, we put the restriction on its domain. See, what is the restriction? If we consider minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, see this particular part. This is the vertical line I drawn. Concentrate on minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. This is the branch you are getting. And if you consider the horizontal line test, that horizontal line we move from -1 to +1, then that line cuts this branch in only one point every time. Therefore, the function becomes 1 function. Clear? So, with the horizontal line test, we can confirm whether the function is many one function or 1 function. So, this branch we select, which is from -π/2 to +π/2, and if you see here, the function becomes 1 function. For each of the angle, you will get the unique value of y. See, these are the angles on x-axis and these are the corresponding values of sine function. So clear? But if you consider the next part, which is given in this form, the same graph we are having in the different manner. Look at the strips which are colored as the violet, blue, yellow, etc. For each of the colored strip, see the nature of the graph. We got this as one of the branch in this interval. If you consider another colored strip, this is the branch which is again 1 in the form of 1 function. If you consider this branch within this particular interval, again that branch is 1 function. So here only -π/2 to +π/2 is not the restricted domain. We have other than these restricted domains. What are those? If you consider π/2 to 3π/2, this is the branch giving you 1 function. If you consider this interval, what's that? Or this interval, any colored strip, this is -3π/2. -3π/2 to -π/2, again you will get this branch which is 1 function. So for these different intervals, we have the branches which gives you 1 function. But amongst all, we choose only this interval -π/2 to +π/2, and that is called as principal value branch. Okay, so here we consider only interval, close interval -π/2 to +π/2, though we are having 1 function in another intervals. Okay, so this particular interval is called as the principal value branch. So we define sine inverse as the inverse of sine as the function from -1 to 1, that is the close interval -1 to 1, to the close interval -π/2 to +π/2. Okay, remember here we got the function as 1 function. By putting the restriction on the domain, we got the function as 1 function, and it is already on 2. Therefore, inverse of sine exists, and that is denoted by the symbol sine inverse, and in the inverse, the domain and the range interchanges their places. Therefore, this range becomes the domain, and the domain of sine function becomes the range of sine inverse. Or in the other way, we can write y equal to sine x gives you x is equal to sine inverse y. Vice versa, if x is equal to sine inverse y, we can write y is equal to sine x. Okay, this is very important, you have to remember. So here, as I told you previously, in these intervals, we will get the sine function 1 and on to the many branches which are 1 and on to, but amongst those we consider only the interval -π/2 to +π/2. See, this is also sine inverse -1 to +1, the close interval -1 to +1, and this is the close interval π/2 to 3π/2. This is also the sine inverse function. I mean, for this particular domain and the range it exists, but of these we have chosen only the close interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and that is called as the principal value branch. See, all these things will have to remember, because in exercise you are asked to find the principal values of the inverse trigonometric functions. So this is about the sine inverse function. Make it a point. Sine inverse x is not equal to 1 upon sine x. Remember, this is the reciprocal. We are finding the inverse function. So please don't make the confusion. But sine x raised to minus 1, you can write 1 upon sine x. So please remember, there is the difference between this notation and this notation. Clear? So sine inverse is the function from close interval minus 1 to 1 to minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Both are the close intervals. Clear an idea? Now let us see what is the graph of the inverse function. See, this is for y equal to sine x, and this is the graph for y equal to sine inverse x. Now see, what is the range here for this function? The range is close interval minus 1 to 1. See, here that becomes the domain, minus 1 to 1, right? And the restricted domain is what? Minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, and that becomes the range, that is minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. So this is the branch we got in y equal to sine x, and this is the branch in y is equal to sine inverse x. Okay, no need to by heart all these values. This is to understand the concept. The graphs are given. By visualizing the graph, the ideas will be more and more clear. Got the graph of y equal to sine x and y equal to sine inverse x. We'll have to repeat all these things again and again from the textbook. Okay, now we'll take one example to find out the principal value of the functions. Now sine pi by 6 is equal to 1 upon 2, we know. Sine pi by 6 means sine 30 degrees. Sine 30 degrees is half, right? Now we check whether 1 upon 2 belongs to the close interval minus 1 to 1. Yes. Check whether pi by 6 belongs to the close interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Yes, that also belongs to. Therefore, we can write sine inverse 1 upon 2 is equal to pi by 6. Because you know, when we write y equal to sine x, we can write x is equal to sine inverse y. Therefore, we write sine inverse of 1 upon 2 is equal to pi by 6. So the principal value of sine inverse 1 upon 2 is pi by 6. So such type of sums are asked in the exercise. Now let us see what about sine 5 pi by 6. Why we consider this value? I'll show you. See, we split that 5 pi by 6 like this. Sine 2 pi plus or pi by 6. This is also we consider, and one more is sine pi minus pi by 6. Both will consider. Now see, this difference is 6 pi minus pi, which is equal to sine 5 pi by 6, right? 6 pi minus pi is sine 5 pi by 6. This is in the second quadrant. Therefore, in the second quadrant, sine remains sine because of pi, and it is positive. Therefore, sine of pi minus pi by 6 is same as sine of 5 pi by 6, which is same as sine of pi by 6. So here we got the same answer, that is 1 upon 2. What about this? This also will give you the same answer. But we are not considering this as the principal value. Why? Because is that value, which value 5 pi by 6, does not belong to the close interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Or you may consider 2 pi plus pi by 6. That value also does not belong to the interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. This is the close interval. Okay. So you must be very careful while finding the principal values of the inverse trigonometric functions. Whatever angle you are getting, that angle must lie in the close interval minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. This is for sine inverse I am talking about. Clear? So we discard this value and our final answer is only pi by 6. Now these we'll have to remember as a note, and this enables while trying the sums. And was that sine of sine inverse x is equal to x. Now let us see what is sine inverse x. See, this is the notation, no doubt, but what is the meaning? Sine inverse of x is always the angle. No? So here you will get the angle, and sine of some angle means you must get some value. Therefore, x belongs to -1 to 1. So with this knowledge, we will have to remember the rule, you can say. Sine of sine inverse x is always x, and sine inverse of sine y is always y, but there y belongs to the closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. I think the idea is clear for finding the principal value of the inverse functions, and here we considered the sine inverse. So please remember the domain and the range for inverse functions. This is very, very important. Now we move further, that is for inverse cosine functions. Okay, here also we follow the same procedure. Check the horizontal line test. If I draw the horizontal line here, okay, I'll show by the laser. This is the horizontal line. If I draw, again that will cut in more than one point. Therefore, the function is many one function. So follow the same procedure. We will have to put the restrictions on the domain. Domain is what? The whole x-axis is nothing but the domain, and on y-axis from -1 to +1. The closed interval -1 to +1 is the range of cos x. So here also we follow the same procedure like we had done while finding the inverse of sine. Now see here this interval 0 to pi. This darkened branch is between the interval, or you can say from the interval 0 to pi. Similarly, pi to 2 pi. If you consider pi to 2 pi, I mean this interval, then again you will get this is the branch, and if I draw the horizontal lines here, that cuts the branch in only one point. It's very, very interesting and easiest method to check whether the function is one or many one. If I consider this part of the curve, that is the branch from -pi to 0. See, from -pi to 0, we are having this branch. So for such type of intervals, the branches are 1, 1 and on to. No? So for each of the interval, we can define cos inverse. But as I told you, we are interested in the principal value branch. So that we consider as 0 to pi. And this is the branch we are considering for the principal value branch. Clear an idea? So once this is 1, 1 and on to, we can define its inverse function and is denoted by cos inverse. Thus cos inverse is the inverse function of cos from -1 to 1, the closed interval -1 to 1 to the closed interval 0, pi. So this is the domain of cos inverse and this is the range of cos inverse. See, whenever I am explaining the inverse functions, it is your job to remember the domain and the range. You have to fix in mind that the domain for cos inverse is the closed interval -1 to 1 and the range is the closed interval 0 to pi. What about sine inverse? Sine inverse, again the domain is -1 to 1, I mean the closed interval, and the range is closed interval -pi by 2 to pi by 2. This we'll have to by heart, but before that we'll have to understand all the concepts. Similarly, one more notation is we are using this while trying the sums. If y equal to cos x, then x is equal to cos inverse y. I think the ideas are getting clear here from the graph. So let us have the inverse of cos. This is y equal to cos x, and this is the graph showing y equal to cos inverse x. See, how to find that is, the domain is 0 to pi, right? This domain 0 to pi becomes the range in the cos inverse. Where is that 0 to pi? See here. This is 0 to pi. This is the darkened branch, which is 1, 1 and on 2. So 0 to pi becomes the range, and what is the range here? -1 to +1. That becomes the domain, -1 to +1. So the graphs are very, very important to understand the concept of inverse functions. Clear? We'll have to revise all these things again and again from the textbook. Now we'll take one example, cos pi by 4. You know cos pi by 4 is cos 45 degrees, which is equal to 1 upon root 2. Now we'll have to check whether these two values, this value and this value, belongs to the restricted interval or not. Okay, what are the restricted intervals we got? These one, where 1 upon root 2, that must belong to -1 to 1, because this value you know, 1 upon root 2, it is belongs to, means that value is in the closed interval -1 to 1. What about pi by 4? 45 degrees. Check whether 45 degrees belongs to the closed interval 0 to 180. Yes. So we write pi by 4 belongs to the closed interval 0 to pi. Now cos inverse 1 upon root 2 we find. If cos pi by 4 is 1 upon root 2, we can write cos inverse 1 upon root 2 is equal to pi by 4, and therefore the principal value of cos inverse 1 upon root 2 is pi by 4. But every time you will have to check these two conditions for cos inverse. Clear? So, though we have cos of minus pi by 4 also 1 upon root 2. How to find that? Cos of minus theta is cos theta, you know. So cos of minus pi by 4 is nothing but cos pi by 4, which is cos 45 degrees and is again 1 upon root 2, right? So cos inverse of 1 upon root 2, we write minus pi by 4, okay? But check whether that minus pi by 4 belongs to this closed interval or not. Now we know minus 45 degrees does not belong to the closed interval 0 to pi. Therefore, though you are solving this algebraically, but our answer is wrong. So we discard this value. Therefore, the only possibility is what? The principal value of cos inverse 1 upon root 2 is pi by 4 only. So what we'll have to fix in mind is this for inverse of cos function. So here also, like we had done for the sine inverse function, we have cos of cos inverse x is equal to x for x belongs to the closed interval -1 to 1. Cos inverse cos y is equal to y for y belonging to the closed interval 0 to pi. Getting an idea? Okay, now inverse tangent functions. For inverse tangent function, look at the graph. The graph is, we are having different branches. It is split into different branches. What are those? From minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Similarly, from this interval pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, again we are having this nature of the graph. This is from minus 3 pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. Okay. So again we consider the horizontal line test. With the horizontal line test, if I consider this interval, say minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, draw the horizontal line that cuts the graph in only one point. Draw the horizontal line, again it cuts the graph in one point. So if I am drawing the horizontal lines, then the graph cuts in only one point. Therefore the function is 1, 1 function from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Similarly, pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2. See, pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2 also, if I draw the horizontal line, you can see the graph or this line cuts the graph, horizontal line cuts the graph in only one point. Similarly, minus 3 pi by 2 to minus pi by 2, this is the interval. Okay, with the horizontal lines, if I am drawing, every time the line cuts the graph in only one point. Therefore, for each of the interval, the function is 1, 1 and on to. Therefore, the inverse exists for all these intervals. Okay, so though I am saying from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2 or pi by 2 to 3 pi by 2, but at these points the graph never cuts. Therefore, we have the open intervals here. Clear? So we can define the tangent, inverse tangent function as tan inverse is the function from the set of reals to the open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. And one more definition or another notation is, if y equal to tan x, we can write x is equal to tan inverse y. Amongst all these intervals, we choose only this interval, which is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. It is open interval, and that we call as the principal value branch. The graph never touch or takes the value minus pi by 2, pi by 2, 3 pi by 2, minus 3 pi by 2. Therefore, all these are the open intervals you have. Clear? And this is about the graph of the inverse function. In the inverse function, what you have? R is the domain, right? R is the domain. See, this is the set of real numbers, x-axis, whole x-axis is the domain, but the range is the open interval minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. If you see this line, this is minus pi by 2 and this is plus pi by 2. See, the graph never touch this line. Am I right? Therefore, this is the open interval. So, the domain is set of reals and the range is the open interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Are you getting with the graph? The concepts are very, very easy if you are using the graph. And we will have to remember the domain and the range of the inverse trigonometric functions. Okay? I hope you have understood the concept of this sine inverse, cos inverse and tan inverse. The remaining inverse trigonometric functions we'll see in the next session. Thank you.